Alright, forget everything you thought you knew about Australian politics for a second, because what just dropped is the kind of update that makes you sit up straight and go, hang on, what? This isn't your usual slow-moving, predictable political cycle. This is a jolt, a proper shake-up. And if you're in Labor right now, especially if your name is Anthony Albanese, you're not just casually glancing at these numbers, you're staring at them. Because here's the headline that's got everyone talking. One Nation is sitting at 30% of the primary vote in Queensland. Let that sink in for a moment. 30%.
Let's go to Canberra now. I want to catch up with Pauline Hanson. And Pauline, I was telling our viewers earlier, reminding them about how the Coalition yesterday highlighted how taxpayers' money, more than $600,000, was going to one of these mosques that was glorifying the death of the former Ayatollah, the former supreme leader of Iran, Ali Khamenei. Now, glorifying that, they were actually referring him to him as a martyr and celebrating his martyrdom, Pauline. Now, the government have responded to that. They say they're now freezing that funding. Is that a good outcome?
Of course it is, to freeze the funding by all means. I had a former Muslim that actually wrote to me and he said, Pauline, you said, you're exactly right and what you're exposing here in Australia. And he said, especially in Arncliffe, he said the hatred they're spreading in that mosque and also, again, the martyrdom of this man. And it has to stop. And I want to see intervention and we need to know what's going on. I hope they come down.
Before we continue, do us a little favour by subscribing to the channel, because over 98% of you watching haven't subscribed. It costs you nothing, not even a penny, to join this channel. Have you subscribed? Thanks so much.
That's not they're doing okay. That's not they're picking up a bit of momentum. That is full-on, front-of-the-pack dominance in one of the most politically influential states in the country. And not just ahead by a little bit, they're beating Labor, who are sitting at 27%, and leaving the Coalition trailing even further back at 23%. Now, if you're thinking, okay, but it's just Queensland, nah, don't brush it off that quickly. That's exactly the kind of thinking that gets major parties blindsided. Queensland isn't just some side note in Australian politics, it's a kingmaker. It's unpredictable, it's powerful, and when it swings, it doesn't just move quietly, it drags the national conversation with it. And right now, it's swinging hard. Let's call this what it is. This is a wake-up call, a loud one. Because for years, One Nation has been treated like background noise by the major parties, a side act.
Specifics that need to be addressed when you start to wind it back. I'm wondering, given how hard it will be for you to win lower house seats, I'm not saying you won't, but it'll be hard for you to win a large number of lower house seats. Would you be in a position now to suggest that when you talk about possible governance, that you would be interested in being involved in a coalition government with the Nationals and the Liberals?
Of course. That's the only way to move forward. Because I'm not going to be government, and either is, by the looks of it, either is the Coalition or the National Party. So the fact is that I am a Conservative at heart, and I would work with them to give them supply. Would I join up to the rabble that they are at the moment? No way in the wide world. But I have my strong policies that we need because they're doing nothing to address the important issues that the Australian people want. And if you want to look at policies, when was the last time you went to my
Something
website
to acknowledge during elections and then move on from. But you don't hit 30% by accident. You don't land at the top of the leaderboard because of a lucky week. That kind of number means something is connecting. Something is landing with voters in a way that Labor and the Coalition just aren't managing right now. And that's where things start to get uncomfortable. Because this isn't just about One Nation doing well, it's about why the others aren't. Take Labor for a second. Nationally, they're still holding steady. In fact, they've even ticked up slightly. On paper, everything looks fine. Calm, controlled, like the ship is sailing smoothly. But then you zoom into Queensland, and suddenly it's a completely different story. That comfortable national lead starts to feel a bit fragile. Because elections aren't won in averages, they're won seat by seat, region by region. And if Queensland starts slipping, that comfortable position can disappear faster than anyone expects. And you just know behind closed doors, the conversations aren't nearly as relaxed as the public messaging. Because this is the exact kind of shift that turns safe seats into battlegrounds overnight. Now let's talk about the coalition, because honestly, 23% in Queensland, that's rough. There's no sugarcoating that. This is supposed to be their stronghold, their base, the place where they're meant to dominate, or at the very least stay competitive. But right now, they're not even second, they're third. That's not a strategy problem anymore, that's an identity problem. Because if voters in your strongest state are looking elsewhere, something deeper is going on. It's not just messaging, it's not just campaign tactics, it's a disconnect, a genuine gap between what voters are looking for and what's being offered. And into that gap steps One Nation. Now, here's where I'm going to be blunt, because dancing around this doesn't help anyone. People don't shift their votes like this unless they're frustrated, unless they feel unheard, unless they think the current system isn't delivering for them. That 30%, that's not just support, it's a signal. It's voters saying, we're not getting what we need. And whether you agree with One Nation or not, you can't ignore that message, because dismissing it is exactly how you end up losing even more ground. Now, zoom out again for a second, because here's what makes this whole situation even more fascinating. The national numbers don't look nearly...
But that's the trap, because national stability can hide regional chaos. And right now, Queensland is pure political chaos, in the most impactful way possible. This is where elections get decided. Not in the averages, not in the headlines, but in these pockets of massive change that suddenly start rewriting the rules. And here's the part that really matters going forward. What happens next? Because polling is one thing, turning that into actual seats is a whole different game. Preferences come into play, campaign strategies shift, pressure builds, and suddenly every decision matters a lot more. For Albanese, this means one thing. You can't afford to ignore Queensland, not even for a second. Whatever strategy worked before might not work now. The landscape has changed, and if you don't adjust, you risk losing ground where it hurts the most. For the coalition, it's even more urgent. This isn't just about tweaking policy or refining messaging. They need to figure out who they are to voters again, because right now, they're being outflanked. And for One Nation, this is their moment, no question about it. But moments like this come with pressure, because leading in the polls is one thing. Proving it translates into real political power is where the real test begins. Still, you don't hit numbers like this without something serious happening underneath the surface. So yeah, Australian politics right now, definitely not boring. If anything, it feels like we're right at the start of something bigger. A shift, a realignment, maybe even the early signs of a political shake-up that could redefine the next election entirely. And if you're not paying attention yet, now's the time. So, what do you think? Is this the beginning of a genuine surge for One Nation, or just a moment that'll fade as quickly as it arrived? Are Labor and the Coalition in trouble, or are they about to bounce back? Jump into the comments and let's talk about it. And don't just watch, get involved. Hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and stick around. Because if this is how things are heating up now, you already know what's coming next is going to be even bigger.